I arrived in the UK on the 27th of February 2001. And at the time, I had a job at a local hospital. I trained as a physiotherapist, so I got a job at Middlesbrough General Hospital, as it was called then, as a physiotherapist. I said I arrived in February, and in February it is very cold. So I flew into Gatwick Airport in London. It wasn't too bad in Gatwick. It was cold, but it wasn't too bad. Actually, I remember opening up my suitcase and put on an extra layer. So yeah, got from Gatwick, went to King's Cross, jumped on the train, and headed up north. So got off on the train in Darlington, and wow, Darlington, as you know, is a very open train station. It was snowing, it was very cold, and yeah, I just thought, what have you done? I was waiting for the train from Darlington to Middlesbrough. Got to Middlesbrough, and there was quite a lot of snow. It was the first time to see snow, so whilst I was excited, I was also freezing cold. So the weather was the biggest challenge to start off with. So in 2001, Middlesbrough was predominantly the local population, so it was mainly white people, to the extent that if you saw a black person, you'd stop and talk to them. Now, if you try to do that now, you won't get anywhere. I still try to talk to any black person that I see, but Middlesbrough is a lot more diverse. So it was very, very challenging in 2001. Very few people. Obviously, you want to continue eating your food. So trying to get the same food as back home was a challenge. Back home, our staple is something called sadza, which is maize meal. Someone showed me rice flour, so I was using rice flour instead of maize meal. That's the closest I could get at that time. And even to get that rice flour, you had to navigate. And you want to continue with your lifestyle. You want to continue with the things that you were doing back home, and adjusting and adapting to a different diet was a challenge. And also, whilst Zimbabwe is an English-speaking country, I mean, you don't speak English throughout the day. And so I think the first few months, I would probably drop a bit of Shona in there until people go, oh, what have you just said? Then you think, oh, right, what have I just said? And then understanding people. So I was working in a department where people speak with the local dialect and lingo. And yeah, it takes time to really get that, especially when you're speaking to someone on the phone. So I used to be worried about picking up the phone. If the phone in the department rang, I would basically wait to see if someone else would pick it. Because you pick it up and someone is speaking very fast and you haven't got what they've said, and you're maybe too shy to say, please come again. So yeah, language. And then there's the loneliness. You're very far away from home. You are away from your family. You're away from your friends. You hear that something terrible has happened back home. Things always seem worse in your mind than they are on the ground. So yeah, it's more, initially it's the social side of things, trying to settle in a new place, getting lost. You wouldn't even imagine trying to go to the town center. You'd have one specific route. You wouldn't even want to turn left or right. You just follow Linthorpe Road all the way, turn right at ISOM, and then all the way down, even though there is a shorter cut. So there are those things that are associated with settling into a new place. Currently, I work for the National Health Service. So my role is Executive Director of Transformation and Population Health Management. And I'm sure you're thinking, what is that? So yeah, I work across, so the organization I work for covers the whole of the Northeast and North Cumbria. So we've got 3.2 million population. I'm sure you've seen in the news, the NHS is now 75 years. The NHS has got lots and lots of different things that it does, from general practice, dental nurses, dentists, pharmacies, big hospitals, ambulances. So the organization I work for makes the decisions for those services for the people of the Northeast and North Cumbria. And before that, I worked at County Durham and Darlington Hospital as the advisor to the medical director on prevention and public health. I also worked for the mental health trust called Tees Eskenwea Valley. Did that throughout the pandemic. So again, was involved in the local responses to the pandemic, thinking about how do we protect people, how do we make sure that those who are ill get access to the right services, and when the vaccine arrived, how do we make sure that people take up the vaccines. And then before that, I was Director of Public Health here in Middlesbrough. So I worked for Middlesbrough Council for about 9 years as the Director of Public Health. And the last 3 of those 9 years, I worked across Middlesbrough and Redcar and Cleveland looking at public health programs. What are the successes? Wow. Not so sure everyone else would consider them as successes, but there are some things that are very, very dear and close to me. So I've got 2 teenagers. I'm sure they'll be very embarrassed if they ever hear Dad was talking about them. But I look at them and I look at how they've developed over the years from being babies. My son has just finished his A-levels. And to think that now I've got a man in the house is a success. So I've got some personal successes that are probably people will say, oh, why do you think that is a success? But then I've also had, I guess I wouldn't describe them as successes, but at the same time, these are things that I never thought would have been achievable. So I've told you, February, I'm outside Darlington train station asking myself, what have you done? Silly man, get back and go back home. And I think if you told me then at Darlington train station in 2001 that I'd be where I am now, I would have just laughed and just said, you're having a laugh. There's no way. I was young, I was shy, I was timid, very reserved, and yeah, I look at myself now. I'm like, oh wow, when did that happen? So I think that for me is something I hold very dearly, and I've been very privileged. I mean, this is not something that. That's why I hesitate to call it a success, because it's not something that I did for myself. I've been very privileged to be supported by lots of people, and I guess. If you were to describe my career as a success, then it's not a success for me. It's a success for people who have supported me. And I'll single out one family or one couple that really helped me out. And so that was Dr. Tox Shangoawa and Auntie Shade. And ever since I came across these people, they've always been there for me and provided me with lots of support and guidance, and I guess if you regard this as a success, then it's their success, not mine. So I wouldn't say there were no challenges. I'll be lying if I say that. So I already told you, kind of young, with lots of competing interests and competing priorities. But I think having people who support you along the way. Having people who mentor you, people who coach you, people who have seen it all before, and who have the patience to support you and to put their arms around you and say you will be okay, is one of the things I would say. I think it's having people who will believe in you when you don't believe in yourself, and when you're doubting and you're thinking, "Oh gosh, how could I ever do this?" And having those people around you is something, again, that's very close to my heart. I think the other thing I would say is, for me personally, it's having a faith. Again, I believe in miracles because I am one. Because how do you explain kind of my story without attributing it to something that is greater than myself, something greater than my friends and my family. So yeah, having a faith has helped me a long way. Those dark, miserable winter nights when things are not going your way, when you are feeling down and things are not working the way you'd want them to, or when you're not being patient enough. I think it's having somewhere to run to and find comfort has been a strong pillar in my journey. Then hard work. It's not easy. I know oftentimes when you hear people tell their story, sometimes it looks like, oh, it was easy. It wasn't easy. But you have to be prepared to put in the hours. You have to be prepared to put in the work. You have to be determined that in spite of the challenges, in spite of the maltreatment, you bounce back. So you need to be able to have resilience or the ability to bounce back when you face challenges, because there is challenges all around. It's not that I've conquered the challenges. Even now, I still have lots of challenges, but you really have to bounce back and have that determination and the focus and the desire to achieve the full potential that we all have. So my encouragement is we all have potential. Everyone has got potential to achieve. Our goal is to develop that potential. So one of the things that I've always, since I discovered it, has kind of stuck with me is this principle that I think it's Japanese that they talk about, which is called ikigai. So ikigai is a Japanese concept that just says your purpose. What is your purpose? We were all created with a purpose, and there is a unique contribution that only you can make in this world. Our job is to find that and to occupy that space. Unfortunately, the majority of us never really bothered to find out what the purpose is, what is my mission in this life, and how can I give to humanity the potential and the talents that I have. And so as a result, they not only deny themselves the ability to achieve and to be who God created them to be, or to step up into the space for which they've come into this universe for. So they deny themselves that opportunity. But perhaps more importantly, they deny humanity that contribution. So if your space, if your purpose was to be the person who would discover the next drug for dementia or for cancer or for whatever disease is, and you basically don't step up into that space, not only have you denied yourself the opportunity to contribute, but you have denied all those people with dementia the ability to live better lives as a result of your contribution. So once you realize that you're not just here by chance, you're not a mistake, you're not in Middlesbrough as an accident. When I came here, I had a job offer in Peterborough. I could have gone to Peterborough and my life would have been completely different. If you ask me, did you know when you come to Middlesbrough? And sometimes people, when they tell their stories, they kind of spice it up and, well, I had a plan and I came here and I knew 21 years later I'll be there. I didn't have a plan. I just went where the opportunities presented, and in that process, I think I ended up finding out myself and stepping up into that space. So yeah, my word of advice to anyone, really, not just in Middlesbrough, is for you to find your purpose and then step into that purpose and do the best you can with what you have and with what's around you. And you'll be surprised how much of a difference that you can make. So the Ikigai talks about four things. It talks about what you're good at. So what are the things that you're really good at? Or actually, if you're not good at it, then do something to get good at it. What are the things that you're passionate about? So how do you align the things that you're really passionate about with what you're good at? So if your passion is, you know what, I like children, or I like helping out people, then find out, how can I be the best person who can help people? If your passion is about I don't know, cars and fixing them. Don't just say, oh, I like cars, and you spend your time playing on social media. Find out, how can I get best at repairing cars? How can I get best at spraying cars? If your passion is journalism, find out how, okay, I've got an interest. I like taking pictures with people. How can I get better at using even the big machines? Enroll yourself on a course. Teach yourself stuff so that you're aligning your passion with what you're good at. The third thing Ikigai talks about is, what does the world need? So don't just be passionate and good at things that nobody needs, because then what's your contribution? Your contribution should be about aligning the things you're passionate about and you're good at them, and actually somebody needs it and they're actually benefiting from that. And you tend to find when people are in that space where what they love, what they're passionate about, and they're good at it, and the world needs it, they're always in demand. Look at Auntie Shade. She's in demand. I've known her for over 20 years. She's good at it. She's very passionate. And clearly there is a need within the Black African community. So those three things are critical with the Ikigai. But then there's a fourth element. The fourth element, it depends. So unless you are royalty, unless you come from a family that's made up of millionaires and you don't need money, then the fourth one maybe doesn't apply to you. But if you're like me, then you need to put bread on the table. So Ikigai talks about the fourth thing, which is about get paid for it. So you need to find something that you love and you're passionate about, get good at it, not necessarily about competition, get to the extent where you are the best you could ever be in whatever it is that you love and you're passionate about. Make sure that there is a need for it, that people will benefit from it, or there is a market if you're into being an entrepreneur. Don't just like what I hear young people talking about these days, I'm going to be a blogger. Blogger for what? So you really need to think about who needs this, who will then listen to my blog. What exactly will I be talking about? Or, oh, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, find out. And then if you're like most of us, then make sure there is a market and someone will pay you. And if you move into your Ikigai, you'll never work the rest of your life because you're being paid for doing things that the world needs, you're passionate about it, and you're good at it.